So I'm going to go over some of the selected questions from the review packet. Number 1, it says determine the quadrant or axis in which the terminal side of the angle lies. Then list one positive and one negative coterminal angle. So let me just go ahead and do A, because I feel like that might be the hardest one for this one. Negative 9 pi over 15. You could convert to degrees and figure it that way, but what I'm going to do is negative means we're going the negative rotation, and it's negative 9 pi over 15. So negative 15 pi over 15 would be here, since that's 1 pi, right? But it's negative 9 pi over 15. And negative 9, well, 9 out of 15, let's think about it. That's the same thing as 18 out of 30, right? 18 out of 30 if I multiply by 2. So 18 out of 30 is more than halfway, so I will be in quadrant 3. Did you guys see that? Because like halfway would be negative 15 pi over 30, but since I'm negative 18 pi over 30, I would be a little more than that, 18 pi over 30, right? Which is negative 9 pi over 15. So determine the quadrant. This is going to be quadrant 3. So to find two coterminal angles, there's two ways you can do it. One way is a visual way. So notice that we're dividing pi into 15 slices. So this is 9/15. So that means to go all the way, that would be 6 pi over 15, this little slice right here. There would be 6 out of the 15. So to find a positive coterminal angle, I can go in the positive direction. That would give me 15 pi over 15, 15 pi over 15, but then I'm going an extra 16 pi over 15. So I know I would be 21 pi over 15. You could also reduce this down to 7 pi over 5. Either would be fine. If I'm going in the negative direction, I would be going negative 2 pi, which is going to be negative 30 pi over 15, and then going an extra 9 pi over 15. So negative 30 pi over 15 and an extra 9 pi over 15 would give me negative 39 pi over 15, which can also reduce down to negative 13 pi over 5. Again, either would be fine. The other way to do this is to simply add multiples of 2 pi. So 2 pi is equivalent to 30 pi over 15 in this case, right? If I multiply by 15 over 15, since I want the common denominator. So if I add 30 pi over 15, then I get positive 21 pi over 15 as a positive coterminal angle, which could also be written down as positive 7 pi over 5 when reduced by 3. To find a negative coterminal angle, I can take this angle and subtract 2 pi from it. So that gives me negative 39 pi over 15 as a negative coterminal angle. Or if I reduce it down, I get negative 13 pi over 5. Okay, let's take a look at number 2 now. It says find a complementary angle and a supplementary angle if possible to the following angles. Remember, your final answer needs to be positive. If it's given to you in radians, your answer must be in radians. If it's given to you in degrees, your answer must be in degrees. Complementary angles mean that when you add the two angles together, they're going to add up to be pi over 2, or 90 degrees. If it's supplementary, that means they're going to add up to be pi radians, or 180 degrees. So let's just take a look at D here. I have 2 pi over 21. If you have an odd number here, it would be easiest to multiply by 2 over 2 to make it into an even number, so you can see where exactly the halfway point would be. So if I have 4 pi over 42, if I want to find the complement, that means I'm looking for the number of slices I would need to go exactly halfway. But halfway of 42 would be 21, right? So you're like, how many more do I need from 4 pi to get to 21 pi? So 21 minus 4, that would give me, what is that? 17 pi over 42. So the complementary angle is 17 pi over 42, because if I add 17 pi over 42 to 4 pi over 42, I get 21 pi over 42, which is pi over 2 radians, or 90 degrees. Now to find the supplementary angle, I want to figure out how much I need to add to get to pi, right? But pi is going to be 42 pi over 42, right? Notice that these are equivalent. So I have 4 pi over 42 right now. How many more slices do I need to get to 42 pi over 42? Well, 42 minus 4 gives me 38. So the supplement is going to be 38 pi over 42. Or if you want to reduce that down, that would be 19 pi over 21. Either is acceptable. For number 3, convert the following angles to degrees. You can either multiply, since it's given to you radians, with the conversion factor 180 degrees is to pi radians, because you want the unit of what your final answer should be on top, and then multiply out, reducing. Or you can remember that pi radians is 180 degrees, so you can replace wherever you see pi with 180 degrees and then simplify that out. For number 4, when you're converting the angles to radians, you want to multiply your degree angle by the conversion factor pi radian is to 180 degrees, and then you multiply that out and simplify it. Looking at number 6, it says to give the exact value if possible of the 6 trig functions of the following. You are given the angle negative 2 pi over 3. So when you're looking at your unit circle, you'll notice that it's negative 2 pi over 3. So you'll have to go in the negative direction, which will give you the same location as 4 pi over 3. You can think of it as going in the positive direction for positive 2 pi over 3, and then reflecting it. You can think of it that way. Or just know, right, you're going in the negative direction and you're going 2/3 of a pi. Another way is to find the coterminal angle. So if I add 2 pi to it, notice that gives me 4 pi over 3, giving me the same spot on your unit circle. So recall you have Sir, Kixer, Tykes, but when you are given an angle on a unit circle, your R value is 1. So your X is going to be your cosine, and your y is going to be your sine value. Okay, and tangent is y over x. Remember, the shortcut is looking at the numerator over the numerator, so that would give you negative root 3 over negative 1, which is just positive root 3. And that's because the bottom denominator's 2's are just going to cancel out if you multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, so cosecant is 1 over negative root 3 over 2, so I am going to just flip it over and multiply by the form of 1 to rationalize. I get negative 2 root 3 over 3. Secant is negative 1 over 2 flipped over, so that's just negative 2. Cotangent is this guy flipped over, 1 over root 3 flipped over. Sorry, root 3 over 1 flipped over, so it's going to be 1 over root 3. You could have also looked at it from here, or from here, right, x over y, and then you rationalize the denominator, ending up with root 3 over 3. Again, this was technically like negative, but it gives you positive at the end. For part B, just a reminder that 1 over 0 would give you undefined. Remember, you get no, right, undefined. And that 0 over 1 is just 0, right? Okay, gives you 0.